Monday. Mary Gaul and I are here to wish you all the most amazing week, that you crush it in business. But this is today is Mary's Spotlight. And in the LEAP community, our members mean so much to us. We take them and we keep them visible everywhere. So we're constantly interviewing them, spotlighting them, putting all the amazing things that they do on social media, because let's face it, there are so many options out there, and we need resources. When we're growing businesses, we need resources. And one of the big areas Mary and I were talking about this morning, especially women forget about. So this is for all of you in corporate America out there. So all of you that follow me, follow Mary, and you might have known us way back in the day, and you're connected to us and you have a job. This goes for you too. I don't know about you, Mary, but I did not celebrate enough when I even had a job of everything well that I'd done, because it was like you would go in and have the annual reviews, and then the reviews are about everything you needed to work on and not necessarily everything we did well. The society's really set up for that. Like, in school, kids are they're, they get a grade. And then if they get a lower grade, their parents aren't so happy and the teachers aren't so happy. So I feel like maybe we were conditioned to not celebrate successes, but it's such a huge part of how we become successful. So Mary, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about why success is so important for you and how those celebrations are those stepping stones.
Yes. I'm so glad to be here with you today. And for all the people listening, I am Mary Gaul. I own Success Magnified, and it's a coaching and consulting business for women entrepreneurs. I jumped into my first business 10 years ago in August of this year, and my coaching business, Success Magnified, is 8 years old this November. So I'm so excited to be here today and talk about this. You hit the nail on the head, right? When you talk about how we're kind of conditioned not to celebrate all these little things and the things that we're good at. From a very early age, we get that grade, we get those report cards, and we kind of become this average of what we're good at and what we're not good at. And if we have a lower grade on our report card, that's where we're taught to focus instead of celebrating the things that we are good at, the A's that we got in our report card, right? So our shift is always on, what do I need to improve? What do I need to work on? Rather than let me celebrate what I'm already good at, right? And let's build upon that. So we get that kind of programming in our head from a very young age. And then it goes into our work careers as well, right? Like you said, we get that review and it's all about, okay, you did these things well, but here's what you need to focus on improving, right? So we never take time to celebrate, wow, look at all the things I accomplished, but here's what I didn't get done. So that's where the focus goes, right?
Right.
Especially when you start your own business, there is a never-ending to-do list of things that you could be doing to grow your business, right? And operate your business and deliver great customer service to your clients. And it's never-ending list of things that has to get done. And if you keep a to-do list, right, we check those things off.
Yeah.
But we never celebrate the fact that we're checking those things off, because there's always 10 more things to go back on our list.
Yeah.
So that's what I really encourage my clients to do, is stop and celebrate all of those little milestones that you're achieving that are helping you get to that bigger goal.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to celebrate the bigger goal when you achieve it, but you have to celebrate all those little things along the way. And that's what I get to help my clients do.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of times our mind plays tricks on us and we forget all of the things that we are capable of or have accomplished? And so you kind of feel like, I'm tired, or I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and I feel like I'm not getting traction, or I'm not getting anywhere. But then if you were to go back and maybe look at your financial numbers compared year over year, and you're like, whoa, hey, I'm doing way better this year than I was last year, but it didn't feel that way to me in the moment. So I really feel like the numbers show the path, right? When you know the numbers, they show the path. And that could be numbers for anything. It might be numbers in, maybe you lost weight, but then you gain weight back, and then you're on a lost weight journey again, and you realize, like, I never realized how many pounds I, got rid of, or, what my weight was last year. So, or maybe it's about, how many people you meet, or it's about working up, your way up the corporate ladder, or, projects that you've been able to complete, or budgets that you've been able to match or hit. So I
Right.
do believe there's a lot of successes, and the society is so focused on what we're not doing right. And that's what everyone tends to see. Like, I don't know about you, Mary, but if I send out a newsletter that has issues with it, like I spelled something wrong,
Right. Yeah.
work, something, I get more responses back when I do something wrong than when my newsletter was right.
Right. Yes. Yes. People love to correct us, right? Which is okay. We can celebrate those failures, right? We need to learn to
Yeah.
celebrate our failures just as
Yeah.
much as our
But that
wins.
just goes to
Yeah.
show you, like, not everybody is focused on that. So if
Right.
we can't expect other people to celebrate our successes. You can in the Leap community. You can
Right.
guarantee that's going to happen, but we can't guarantee that other people are going to celebrate those for us. So I
Right.
think that has a lot to do with kind of your psyche and your mindset in growing a business, because that's a time when it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Because you're really kind of digging in and getting it up off the ground. And I know you have a peer advisory group. So tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about that and how they support successes and
Yes, yes.
celebrations.
And you hit on another point that I just want to make sure people realize, especially in the corporate world, waiting for people to celebrate you and recognize all of the great stuff you're doing doesn't happen, or very rarely happens, right? And so that was one of the reasons I left my last corporate job, was because I was doing over and above, as women often do. We have to prove ourselves again and again and again
Mm,
that we're better than everybody else, and that we've got the stuff that we need, and we're doing all this stuff. And then you're waiting for somebody to recognize all that extra effort and celebrate
yeah.
your extra efforts. And it just doesn't happen very often, right? So that's why a lot of people, a lot of women go out and start their own businesses. They're like, I'm going to recognize myself and I'm going to celebrate my own wins. And then that to-do list creeps in, and then we never take the time to stop and celebrate everything that we're getting
Yeah.
accomplished. So it's a powerful shift when you can make that mindset and realize you have to celebrate all those little wins along the way to keep you motivated to get the big goals.
Yeah.
But
And
yes,
I'm going to say, if you're that person right now that doesn't have someone to celebrate with,
yeah,
or you're struggling with figuring out how to celebrate, or even how do I brainstorm with someone or utilize someone as a soundboard to talk about all of the things, right? So here's the
yeah,
Calendly link for Mary, and you can just
yeah,
reach out to her and just do a quick 30-minute call. I find that
yeah,
those are very beneficial when people I do not know reaches out to me and wants to have a 30-minute call. And it's not always a just get to know you. Sometimes we jump right in and they're like, I could really use your advice on something. I'm like, hit it.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go. And then
yeah.
I give them the advice and they're like, thank you so much. I just really needed that today. And then they're gone. Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think that
And
we
we'll
need to,
celebrate together, right? We'll
oh
find
my
something to
gosh.
celebrate together. Yes,
People need that, don't they,
yes,
Mary? They need
yes.
other people that have no other agenda other than to be there to say, like, yeah, let me see how I can help you today. And shouldn't we be
Mhm.
doing that for everyone? That serving first, and that's that
Yes,
what we get back. I mean, I have a wall of celebrations in front of me. I always have my vision boards. I have my
mhm,
black belt. I have my awards for running, my awards for when I was, in competition for Taekwondo. I have certificates and my first
yeah,
magazine I ever produced, the first magazine I was ever in, like, family pictures. These are
right.
my like reminders of all that I've been able to accomplish over my life. And if you don't think having a family and raising a
Right,
family
right.
isn't
That's
one of the
something to
biggest
celebrate. Yeah,
accomplishments that we have,
yes, yes,
so what do you do, Mary? What is your
yeah,
advice, and what do you do to continue keeping that motivation,
yeah.
and celebrate those successes so that you're reminded and you remember?
Yes. So
Yeah.
as we mentioned before, I have peer advisory boards, which are mastermind groups for women entrepreneurs. And we start every person gets to go around and celebrate something
Yeah.
that was a win and success that month. I do that with my one-on-one coaching clients as well. We start each session with, what are your wins and successes? And sometimes I'm amazed at, they know that this is coming. I'm going to ask them about a win and success. And we start our session and they're like, what, did I have any wins in the last month? And people, we just aren't accustomed to really listing them out and celebrating those things. So usually by the end of our session, we've got 5 or 6 things, and they're like, oh yeah, I did this. And oh yeah, I forgot I did this. And I signed up 2 new clients. And, we have these wins that are happening in our business. But unless you have somebody that asks you about them on a regular basis, we just let them slide until we hit the big end of the year goal or quarterly goal or whatever that is, right? So it's important to have that check-in and that group to support you and celebrate with those wins with people who understand what it took to get there as well, right? So if I go to my husband who has a job, right, or my girlfriends who have jobs, and I say, hey, I just got my website redone, or I just did this video, or I just, signed up 2 new clients, they're like, that's great, but they don't understand what it took to get there. But when you celebrate with other entrepreneurs who are doing those same activities, the level of celebration is deeper, like just the level of joy, because we understand what it took to get those things done and what it continues to take to get those things done.
I'm glad you said that because, I produce a lot of events. So part of me is like a half of me is an event producer. I produce masterminds. I produce retreats. I produce a lot of in-person events. And I find that once I'm done the event, I'm more like exhausted, like, oh, done. I'm glad that's over with. Now moving on to the next. And it's like, wait a minute, we need to celebrate that we just made that happen. You know what I mean? Like, what? There has to be time for that, because if not, then you're constantly just chasing after and trying to check off the box of getting this done and getting that done. And then life is not fun. Life's not fun anymore. Now, I know secretly before we came on live here, you're working on a little project for a type of celebration, type of journal. Do you want to fill them in a little bit about what this project is you have coming up? Because I think that it's going to be amazing. And it's, again, what we're talking about, a tool for us to be supported in this journey.
It is. It is. So I have 3 words that are kind of who I am and how I show up. And I wrote a book called Vitamin C3, and it's how to connect, contribute, and celebrate your way to success. Those are the 3 C's. Okay. And this year I rolled out a whole new keynote speech, and it's a workshop around the power of celebration. And so I'm out there talking about that. I have my fun little hand clappers so you can give yourself a round of applause. And like Colleen said, I am working on a 30-day celebration guide that should be coming out soon. But in the meantime, if you want to start building more celebration into your life, you can go and grab this free celebration checklist. And so it's a really fun little checklist you can print off and start writing down those things that you want to celebrate. And just then you can check those off just as you have your to-do list where you're marking things off. Start a celebration checklist. What are the things that you want to celebrate, right? And let's write them down and focus on those things that you want to celebrate just as much as our task list. And so that'll give you some ideas on ways you can celebrate and keep that celebration going. If you think of the mice in the maze or on a treadmill, and they're just running and running and running, and they never get to that treat, or they never find the cheese in the maze, right? That's what running a business sometimes can feel like. So we need to give ourselves that little piece of cheese, those treats, jump off the treadmill for a little bit and celebrate ourselves. You mentioned, you get the more responses when you have a mistake in your newsletter than when you don't. And, celebrate the fact that, hey, I have a newsletter and people are reading it enough that they're finding the mistake.
That's what I say.
That's something positive.
And I always say that back, like, thank you so much. And now I know you're reading the newsletter, and that you're
First, you're getting a newsletter out, which is an achievement, right? And people are reading it well enough that they notice there's a mistake in there, right? So they're reading it and taking action, which is great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mary. And I can't thank you enough for being a valuable member of the LEAP community, for all the value that you add and contribute to the women that are there, and assisting them in growing their businesses and giving them advice. Here's what Mary and I both know, and I'll let Mary close that out, is that this is a tough road and you can't do it alone. So there's always going to be a resource or someone there that is going to have the knowledge in an area that you quite haven't gotten yet, right? They're about 5 steps ahead of you. And I I always say, jump on with that person, have them
Mhm.
teach you what they know and how they do it. And I'm that type of a teacher. I like to teach people how to do it. I know you're the same way. And
Yes.
so be wary of those that aren't going to do that, right? That aren't going to be able to teach you how to do that, or maybe they're too far ahead of you and you're wanting to be where they are overnight and take the shortcut. Well, there's not that
Right.
shortcut. So Mary,
Right.
what would you say to someone who is looking like, maybe I should hire a business coach, or I've never really thought
Mhm.
about working with someone that could teach me how to grow this business? What would you say to them?
Right. I would say hop on the Calendly link that we published a few minutes ago. Let's have a conversation, right? A no obligation. Let's just see where you're at in your business. Even if it's still you're in the corporate world and you're thinking about starting a business, right? I'd love to talk to you about what the reality is so that you can jump in and be a successful entrepreneur, right? Or if you've been in business for 5 or 10 years and you want to get to the next level, let's have a conversation, because the way I work with people, again, is really individualized and finding out where you are in your business. And then let's put a plan together that works for you to reach your goals. And then we'll celebrate along the way, obviously, all those steps.
Obviously.
Yeah,
But one thing I
obviously.
know about Mary is she's just like I am. If you're in corporate America and you're watching this and you're like, I've always wanted to become an entrepreneur and start my own business, have a conversation with a business coach about
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
because that might not be the path for you, even though you think you might want it. Once we
Mhm.
go through everything it takes to be an entrepreneur and what you'll need to do, you might say, oh, the W-2 sounds like a good option
Right,
for me.
right.
And that's okay.
Yes.
You get to make the choice. That's the best part, is you made the choice for yourself. And then you can celebrate that you made the best choice for yourself. But
Yeah.
not everyone's cut from the entrepreneur cloth. I'm just going to say that today. And a
No.
lot of people having a job, they love that life because they can clock out and they've got their weekends and time off and
Yeah.
holidays, and that's for them, right? Not for me, but that's for them. So
Right,
I think
right.
having that call with you is something they can do for sure. So
Yeah.
Mary, thank you. Let's celebrate Mary today and her
Yay.
being here and showing up and being in the LEAP community. And thank you so much, Mary, for all of your wisdom and advice you gave today. And for all of you out there watching, we're getting so close to Halloween and Thanksgiving now. So think in your heart how grateful you are for the people around you that have supported you. And not only that, but how grateful you should be for everything you've been able to do for yourself and growing. And, if you're a family, if you're a mom and you've raised a family, be thankful and grateful for, all of that as well. So, Mary,
Yes.
thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, everybody, be you and be
Bye.
strong. We'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.